in 1997. The chessboard has really witnessed one of the greatest attacking games of all times. The Lightning Kid, the fast calculator, really one of the most brilliant attackers of all times, Vishy Anand, pulled off such an amazing, brutal, but also beautiful attack against Joe Lautier in the Scandinavian defense in the main line. And I think this game has to be written in many chess history books as really, at least in the top 100, it's for sure, in my opinion, such a brutal but subtle but also creative play here by Vishy Anand in this, I would say, dubious opening, because the Scandinavian is basically something that you should try to avoid. But the funny thing is actually that Vishy Anand pulled off in the World Chess Championship match before this game also Scandinavian defense against Garry Kasparov, lost also the game, but probably, you know, Vishy is the expert in the Scandinavian defense, and now he's facing sort of his surprise weapon. Let's see now what happened. Put your seatbelts on. It's really one of the greatest chess games that you'll see in your life. So let's see now what happened with the white pieces. As promised, Vishy Anand pulled off the move e4. Joe Lautier's response was the Scandinavian defense. We have e takes d5, queen to d5, knight to c3, and now queen to a5. We have now the move d4. We're now in the main line, and now after move knight to f6, knight to f3, normal development, and now c6. Bishop to c4, targeting, of course, also the weak f7 square. So here we have bishop to f5 by Joe Lautier. Now comes knight to e5. Very aggressive approach. This is the way to go if you're playing the Scandinavian defense with the white pieces. You don't hesitate. You have to be aggressive. You have to be active. You have to be sharp. If you are leaning back, sort of, I would say, in this types of position, then black will regroup. Black will get the security. I think black will get the pieces into the game. So you have to be really now aggressive, as I said. You don't allow your opponent to breathe. And of course, such a beautiful attacker like Vishy Anand simply loved this immediate tactical battle. So we have now the move e6. You have to protect, of course, the f7 square. Now comes the g4, immediately kicking away the bishop. Bishop to g6, and now also threatened move h5. Knight from b to d7, knight takes d7, knight takes d7, and now h5, kicking away the bishop, and now bishop to e4. This bishop cannot be taken so far because of the beautiful queen's activity. But now Vishy plays a very interesting choice, rook to h3, because when we watch now this position, I think it's very hard now for white to secure the king by castling. Now these days, actually, after move bishop to e4, the main line, for instance, Alireza Firouzja won a game against Magnus Carlsen in this particular variation, in this sideline, by castling kingside here. The game was played in 2021. Very sharp, aggressive game. But I'm still so feeling insecure about this position with the white pieces. Okay, you attack now, but there's so many weaknesses also in front of your king. So in my opinion, okay, this is the top engine line, but still, of course, with many structural weaknesses here also for white. I have to say, I like more this Vishy Anand approach. Even if our king stays a little bit longer with the king in the central, still we have opportunities to get this rook on e3, and then maybe from this square the rook can be very active, and this rook will be really a monster now in this continuation of the game. It will be really a huge tactical problem now for black in the continuation of the game. After rook to h3, we have bishop to g2, now rook to e3, hitting immediately the pawn on e6, and now knight to b6, hitting also the bishop. Bishop to d3, knight to d5, creating now very enormous pressure here against the knight on c3, but also against the rook on e3. But now the fun starts. Here Vishy plays the absolute stunning f3, and this is the way to go. And this move actually traps the bishop on g2. And the problem is now, even in some scenarios, even if you take here, for instance, let's see now this line, knight to e3, then after bishop to e3, the problem, I think, for white is this stunning tactic. But if white keeps it calm now, actually white can get out of this mess. It seems so that maybe black is winning here, but notice that the bishop here on g2 is simply trapped. It's paralyzed here by the pawn structure, so you will get your extra piece, but you have to first defend the position. First you take b takes a3, and now after something like queen to c3, you can play, of course, king to f2, and now you get out of this mess. Your opponent cannot, of course, pick up the rook, and now in the next moves you simply take out also the bishop on g2. After bishop to a3, of course, you can play bishop to f3, deflecting maybe the queen from the defense here of the rook on a1. You don't want to play, of course, bishop to f3, because then queen to c3 is simply winning the game. But after bishop to f3, you don't worry so much. You play just queen to d2. Your opponent will probably take out this one. h6 you have to play now. After queen to h5, you have to play queen to g2, and now after g takes h6. This is the position that you get. Probably you will secure your king on d2. And as I said, this is now top engine play. I'm not sure also about this position, but I think this should be winning for white for sure, especially because of this dark square weaknesses. We get the bishop into the game, and there's simply no good side on which you black and castle here also in this particular position. So it's so complicated, I think, to play this game. Although you have the rook for two minor pieces, but this is game over, I think, here for black. So as I said, after move f3, you see knight to e3 also not so active here for black. As I said, you can maybe play bishop to a3, but we saw that white can actually defend this position. After move f3, that's why Lautier tried bishop to b4, continuing the pressure here against the knight on c3. We have king to f2. Vishy gets out of this mess, but connects now also the king to the pawn, and now basically the bishop is trapped here. The bishop can maybe get to h3, but then again it can be attacked by the king's activity on g3. So we have now the move bishop to c3. If you play now knight to e3, again, as I said, bishop to e3, you'll get your fun, maybe bishop to c3, queen to c3, but this bishop will be taken. Again, we would have a scenario in which white will have two minor pieces for the rook, and especially in this almost open position, I'm not sure where are you going to castle. If you castle queen side, bishop becomes active into the game. If you castle king side, then we let the pawns roll here and the king will be naked. So again, a devastating game. So after move king to f2, that's why bishop to c3, b takes c3, queen to c3, and now here a beautiful move by Vishy, rook to b1, getting out of this mess, but also attacking now the b6 weakness. Now we have queen to d4. You see, Lautier is still continuing the pressure against this rook on e3, but now Vishy plays a very active move. Rook takes b7. We have rook to d8, further pressure here on the d file, and now h6. And this is now really one of the critical moments of the game. Here Lautier had maybe the opportunity to play again finally the move knight to e3, after bishop to e3, queen to e5. Now it takes, and now queen to c1. It's again, I think, a much better position for white, because again we will simply take out this pawn on g2. You can maybe try something like this, but then queen to h1 is coming into the game, so you will get the bishop, and again you will have two minor pieces for the rook. And in this scenario, the king is stuck in the center of the board. You can maybe take out this pawn, but as I said, I would really not love to play anymore this game from black's perspective, especially when the bishop maybe comes here on c5 or something, then rook to e7. So I don't really want to show now the game what happens if that happens, but I think we can agree that this should be completely winning here for white. So after move h6, here Lautier tried the move g takes h6, and now comes the absolute stunner of this immortal game. Maybe you can pause the video and try to see now the winning idea here for white. So it's already that game for black. So white moves and wins the game. Pause the video, take your time. It's really a brilliant tactic. Of course, the legend Vishy Anand immediately saw the lightning kid pull off here an incredible tactic. Okay, I'll give you a couple more seconds. This is really crazy. Okay, here comes an amazing discovered attack. Bishop to g6. Really wild stuff. Sacking the queen, but of course you cannot accept it, because if you play queen to d1, then it's game over. Look at this. Rook to e6 is coming. This is the way they go. The bishop is, of course, not allowing f takes e6. You have to maybe cover, or you have to maybe play king to f8, but now bishop takes h6 comes into the game. You have to maybe play something like this, but now bishop to f7 is a beautiful checkmate. You could, of course, also here cover with the knight, but again, the same scenario, bishop to h6, and then bishop to f7 is simply winning the game. So after move bishop to g6, you don't have time to pick up the queen. That's why here knight to e7 was played by Lautier, connecting now the rook to the queen and also attacking the bishop on g6. But now comes queen to d4. We have now rook takes d4, and now after queen to d4, rook to d4, we have now another brilliant move here by Vishy Anand. rook to d3. If you play now rook to d3, then of course bishop comes out. Bishop takes now the rook on d3, and we have now liberated our bishop from the attack, and still there are huge threats. Of course, rook to b8 is a threat, bishop to h6 is a threat, and also king takes g2 is a threat. After bishop to d3, notice that the bishop doesn't have escape room. You can play bishop to h3, but now after king to g3, again the bishop gets trapped. So this is again completely winning here for white. So after move rook to d3, that's why Lautier tried rook to d8. We have rook takes d8, and now after king to d8, bishop to d3. In this position, actually, again, Lautier resigned. It's simply game over. We have reached a similar position, not the same, but again, too many threats. Bishop to h6. This bishop is hanging. Again, rook to b8. Rook takes a7. I'm not sure. Even bishop to h6. Bishop to g5 is threat. So this is winning for sure. So let's see. Maybe just one possible continuation. You play something like knight to c8. But as I said, many opportunities. The game is over for sure. So incredible attack by Vishy Anand, incredible game in the Scandinavian defense. This is the way to go. How Vishy sacrificed the rook in the beginning. Basically he offered the rook in the beginning, but he locked the bishop out here on g2, created this beautiful rook lift, activated rook on the 7th rank, created really active play, delivered even almost a checkmate, an amazing checkmate with the queen sacrificed, and afterwards it was game over. So it deserves to be really written in many chess history books, in my opinion. Really one of the best games that I've seen in my life. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the Scandinavian defense. If you want to see more brutal and epic attacks like this, check out our best chess games of all time series. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say? Chess is the best, of course.